All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jenna Wood, and I am one of the dietitians here with Giant and Martins. If you're new to our class series, welcome. If you're returning, of course, welcome back. Today, we have our Behind the Brand series where we do just that. We do a deep dive into a particular company, brand, product, more than you probably ever thought you would learn about the company, and then, of course, do a feature on one of their products. Today, for our Behind the Brand, we will be featuring Eggland's Best, which is definitely one of my favorite brands to purchase, to talk about. So I am very excited for today. But we are going to get started with a poll, actually. So, just quick poll. Have you ever tried Eggland's Best eggs before? Quick yes or no. I kind of wanted to see where we were as we get started. I pretty much exclusively buy Eggland's Best for many, many years. So I'm definitely in that yes category. All right, I'll give it like another second or two because I see some people still answering. But all right, I'm gonna end the poll and just share. We actually have a 75-25 split, which I don't think I've seen in our polls recently, but about 75% of you on the call today say you have tried them, but about 25% have not. So hopefully you're encouraged today to give them a try and to look out for them in our stores. All right, we are going to keep going, but I do, of course, have some other ways and some other polls to share. Let's keep going. So, a little brief history of Eggland's Best. They are a company founded in 1992, really 1990, and then kind of went commercial in 1992. And their real goal was to create a better egg. In around the 90s, egg consumption was really declining, and you're probably familiar with why, but a lot of consumers were concerned about cholesterol at the time, and there just wasn't a lot of high quality fresh eggs that were easily accessible to the general public. In the 1960s, the average American was eating about an egg a day, so about 365 a year, and that number really decreased by the 90s to about 234. So, Eggland's Best was thinking like, what can we do to help inspire customers to, know there are high quality eggs out there, and how are we going to get them to the public? So that's what they set out to do. They wanted to produce the freshest, best tasting, and most nutritious egg, and again, making it accessible to the masses. And so this was back in 2022, so I'm sure the statistic is quite higher now, but they celebrated their 40 billionth, so that's a lot of eggs. They celebrated producing that many USDA certified Eggland's Best eggs. And on whatever article it says that many eggs would circle the Earth 60 times. It's a lot of eggs. All right, let's keep going. So, all of their eggs are produced and approved by licensed producers that are on farms located throughout the United States, so their eggs can be distributed locally. The producers are selected for their ability to meet these super, super stringent quality standards. They have a web page, and I could just talk about the 27 standards they have on their website, but they have a lot that these farms have to abide by. And their eggs and their chickens and where they live are subjected to rigorous quality assurance testing. So every aspect of the production and distribution is constantly being monitored and managed. And they do have a state-of-the-art lab that conducts over 75,000 tests annually. And I couldn't fully figure out where the lab was, but their address on their website is actually here in Malvern, PA, very close to where many of us live. So I thought that was kind of neat. Maybe that's where the lab is. I'm not sure. They do also have an independent auditing firm that randomly visits supermarkets. And this is 100% true because I have seen one of them in this store. This was many, many years ago when I was working in store, and I asked them what they were doing because they were picking up a bunch of Eggland's Best eggs. They're like, I'm actually here to audit those eggs. So I thought that was really, really exciting to see. Those eggs are collected by that third party from retail shelves, just like at Giant and Martin's, and they're sent to an outside, so a third party lab, not even, the lab that I just mentioned, to do testing to make sure, everything is as it should be and not just them proving it themselves. So there are many studies, many surveys that have been done about Eggland's Best Eggs, but the results of an independent retail egg quality survey showed that through a 45-day storage period, the Eggland's Best Eggs earned a superior grade double A in comparison to grade A, ordinary eggs. What does this mean? It means that Eggland's Best Eggs maintained their quality and all of the attributes and characteristics that they claim of a fresh egg much longer than other fresh eggs. So, simply stated, Eggland's Best Eggs stay fresher for longer, which is what we want. We don't want to buy a product and have it, not be peak quality right after we purchase them. And why? Why, are their eggs superior? Why are they lasting longer? Why are they fresher longer? It really has one to do with the lifestyle of the chickens and all of that, which we'll get to, but it really has to do with the special feed that they derived, during their research. I thought this was a fun picture on their Facebook page for Valentine's Day. So their love language being they brought home the Eggland's best eggs. So, through rigorous research and careful sourcing, they formulated their own patented feed that would give their hens a wholesome, high quality, and all vegetarian diet. What does that include? So, it includes soybean meal, healthy grains, canola oil, and or flaxseed meal, which is very high in omega-3s, which will be important when we talk about the nutrition of their eggs. And they also have a biotin supplement in the feed as well, which includes rice bran, alfalfa meal, sea kelp, and vitamin E. So when we look at the nutrition of their eggs, they are higher in a lot of these micronutrients compared to traditional eggs. And it really does have to do with the feed of the chickens. It's strictly controlled. It doesn't have any animal fat, any animal byproducts, and no recycled or processed, food scraps or anything that you might find in other poultry or livestock feeds. And because the unique diet is very nutritionally superior and just unique with all of the additions that are in it, this is why their Eggland Best hens lay these nutritionally superior eggs, not only from a nutrition standpoint, but also just a quality standpoint. So we talked about freshness, but the addition of some of these ingredients really has a big impact on the quality of the shell and the egg white and the egg yolk. So think about how, we eat certain nutrients to be our best. The eggs are the same way. They also have each of their farms submitting samples of the food that they provide to their chickens on a monthly basis to make sure it's still meeting that high quality that they're looking for. This was just a picture of their feed that they shared, so I thought I would include that there as well. You can see like a lot of yellow color, which is probably giving a lot of that vitamins that we're talking about. All right, so a second poll that I wanted to do because I did ask my coworkers this morning, how do you store your eggs? So let me find this poll. Let me see, where is it? What team are you? So when you are storing your eggs after you've taken a couple out of the carton, are you team one, where they're all on one side? Are you team two, where they're all on one side horizontally, like all on the same line? Three, where they're kind of interspersed in the middle? Or four, where you kind of pick every other egg? I'm intrigued to see because I saw this picture on their social as well. I'm like, oh, that's a good poll question to ask people because I think it can be a little divisive, right? All right, I'll give it another second and I will stop. A lot of people are voting. That's great. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Most of us are team one. I am certainly team one. In theory, the carton can become a little unbalanced, but the cartons for Eggland's Best are very secure and sturdy. So, like, I'm not super concerned. And that's just, in order. That's just how I do it. But a lot of you are also team two. Another big portion are team three, which that's what Shayna was, and team four as well. So we have every type of egg storer in the group today. So I thought that was fun. All right, let's keep going. All right, so this is the call out in ad this week starting tomorrow. So you can see the preview of the ad this week or today being Thursday. So just a call out, especially of their free range that we're going to talk about and their cage-free varieties. So eggs with superior nutrition, and these are our dietitian's pick. Certainly this dietitians. All right, so some of the products we carry here at Giant and Martin's. So we do have their cage-free, both a regular and an organic. And these are the prices at my local store, but of course, prices can vary depending on location, date, and the method that you're purchasing them. But we do have, so just their original Eggland's Best Eggs in that white carton that you recognize. We do also carry extra large, which I'll talk about sizes in a moment. We have the free range. And as I mentioned, the two different types of cage-free, the original and the organic. We do also carry them in 1 dozen, but 1.5 dozen as well. We also, in many of our stores, have their already hard-boiled eggs. So if you don't want to be bothered to make hard-boiled eggs, they got you covered. And it is called out in another spot on our ad this week. Again, being dietitian's pick, especially for Valentine's Day, you can make a lot of fun things with eggs. So this is the free range, which are called out in ads specifically. And of course, you're probably not shocked. These are found in the dairy section of your local Giant or Martin's. We typically have really nice sections for just the eggs. Eggs, of course, are not dairy. They just happen to be in the dairy section. So keeping that in mind too. And of course, if you click on Giant or Martin's down at the bottom of this page, it will bring you to the page of just Eggland's Best products at both of our stores. All right, so little call out for the nutrition of their eggs. They have so many pretty pictures on their social media, so that's where I got a lot of these. So in comparison to quote unquote ordinary, any other egg that you might pick up at the store, Eggland's Best has 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, 2 times the omega-3 fatty acids and B12, 38% more lutein, which we think of really important for eye health. And my favorite call out is that they have 6 times more vitamin D, which a lot of us have a hard time getting vitamin D in our diets. So this is a really, easy way to bump up that amount. Which is why I also pulled this graphic because I think all of the extra nutrients that they have are so important and so helpful and a reason that they're premium. However, again, for me, vitamin D is one of those, especially during the winter, it can be really hard for us to have enough vitamin D. So 5 things you might not know about Eggland's Best Eggs as it comes to vitamin D. The yolk is where we find the vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so you have to be eating those yolks to get the benefit. So eat those yolks. We really have come very far in nutritional sciences to see that the egg yolks really are not a big concern for most people. Of course, everybody's unique and different. And yes, there are some people out there who may need to reduce the amount of egg yolks they eat in a week. But for most of us, we don't quite fear egg yolks as much as we used to, especially the cholesterol contained in them. And they have less cholesterol than other eggs, so that's a benefit too. Eggland's Best Eggs have, again, 6 times more vitamin D than any other egg on the market. One egg goes a long way as well. So even if you are worried about how many eggs you're eating a week, one Eggland's Best egg has 25% of your daily value of vitamin D. So eat two, you got 50%. Maybe you're having some milk or some fatty fish, or you're getting out in the sun a little. There's a bunch of ways, but it definitely helps. And this is one of the ways I try to increase my vitamin D. Again, your body absorbs it better with fat. So it is a fat-soluble vitamin. So yes, there's going to be fat within the yolk, but it also is really, helpful to pair it with some fats like olive oil or avocado, which is what we're going to do today. And truly, vitamin D, especially in the quantities that we're recommending consuming, has been shown to help support bone health, immune health, energy levels. So a really important nutrient overall. So we're just going to take a quick glance at some of the different varieties of eggs that we carry here at the Giant Company, at Giant and Martin's for Eggland's Best. So this is their OG, white container that you're used to seeing. 12 eggs, large size. They earn 3 guiding stars. All of them do. So 1 egg, and you're going to see compared to original, like ordinary eggs, they're going to be slightly lower in calories because they're slightly lower in saturated fat. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So when you have 1 fewer gram of fat, you're going to save about 10 calories there. So each egg has about 60 calories, 4 grams of fat, only one of which is saturated fat. They do have 170 milligrams of cholesterol, which is a little less than ordinary eggs that have a little higher, like 185. Uh, Low sodium, so each egg is about 65 milligrams, which is also lower than an ordinary egg as well. They're typically 70s, 80s. So not a huge savings, but again, everything adds up over the day. And then protein, each of them have 6 grams of protein, and we do get protein in the egg white and the egg yolk. So again, throwing out how important the egg yolks really are when it comes to nutrition. And then compared to any other nutrition label you'll see, they call out all of those vitamins and minerals that are in their eggs. So again, vitamin D, this one actually says 30% of your daily value of vitamin D. So that's pretty cool. 6 micrograms is how much you'll find in each egg. And then various nutrients, things like calcium, iron, potassium, not incredibly high, but they do have some. The B12, so one egg here has 40% of your daily value of B12. They have biotin, so 35% of your daily value. That's really helpful for like hair, skin, and nails. Choline. Eggs are, I want to say, the best source of choline in our diets, which is really important for brain health and development, especially for a developing baby. So lots of important nutrients we get from eggs, especially Eggland's Best. So these are the original. Okay. Then we have the cage-free. And I'm going to do a brief description of the difference in definitions, but similar nutrition as you would expect. So 60 calories still, 4 grams of fat. Again, pretty much everything is exactly the same here on the label as to their original. It just really depends from an animal welfare perspective what you're kind of looking for. But nutritionally, all of their eggs are superior and very similar in nutrients. They do also have the organic cage-free or organic eggs. The only difference I really found, because I combed through every mineral on here, the only difference I found was the organic have slightly more zinc. So it was like zero point 0.7 on the original, and this one has 1 milligram. So not a huge difference, but again, if organic is what you're looking for, they do have this option as well. Same nutrition, 60 calories, 4 grams of total fat, 6 grams of protein, and that wonderful 6 micrograms of vitamin D. And then our biggest call out today, a newer upgrade on their package, especially, it's a really beautiful package, are their free range eggs. So all of their farms that produce their free range eggs are certified humane, pasture raised by the Humane Farm Animal Care Society. So definitely a good call out and logo to look for. Nutritionally, they are the same because they are still eating that superior feed that we talked about. The only difference, which I'll talk about on the next slide, is free range are often also foraging, but not significantly to change, the quality of the diet that they're already given. But nutrition, pretty much exactly the same as I've talked about, the 60 calories, 6 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, and all of that. But yeah, and again, all of these earn 3 guiding stars. Now, what is the biggest difference between, cage-free, free-range, pasture-raised? So I did pull this information both from the Certified Humane, which is who certifies their eggs, and from GoodRx. They had a really good article about this. So just very quickly, and just this is, per what you are looking for from your eggs. It kind of asked, are the birds caged? The only one that would be yes for this category is a conventional egg. Of course, there are differences. Maybe they're just not paying for the certification and they may have eggs that are not caged. But by and large, if you're buying pasture-raised, free range, or cage-free, they will not be in cages. The amount of outdoor space they have can vary per the statistics and per the certifications that we just listed that they use. So pasture raised, they have to have 108 square feet minimum per bird. And what that typically looks like, if there are 1,000 birds on 2.5 acres, they have about 108 square feet. And it's important with the pasture raised that they have to rotate fields. For free range, they have about 2 square feet per bird minimum, so many can have and do have more. Cage free and conventional are not applicable because they're not typically provided with outdoor space. However, on the Eggland's Best website, they do mention that their cage free eggs have access to outside. So again, it can vary. Can birds forage for natural food? If they're pasture raised, yes. Free range, yes, but typically limited based on the hours. Cage free, no. But again, Eggland's Best talks about their cage free eggs foraging. So again, they have higher standards. And then for conventional, no. Required outdoor time. So for the pasture raised, it's unlimited. And they really are very strict about this, that they have to be able to go outside. And there's only like a 2 week grace period, even with the weather being so cold. So, it can vary, but this is what they're required to do. Of course, the chickens can decide what they want to do if they want to go outside or not. But free range, they have to have at least 6 hours outside every day, weather permitting, of course. And then cage free and conventional don't require it. So, just kind of a description of this. If you want to learn more, definitely go to those links at the bottom or directly to the Eggland's Best website. All right, so what are other people saying about Eggland's Best? Because I love them, but like, what are other people saying? So this person said, I only use Eggland's Best for my deviled eggs. The taste is so different from just eggs. I take them to every family get together. I only buy these eggs. They are the best I have ever tasted. Good product and worth every penny I have spent. Ah, I can't see the top of this one. The eggs are fabulous. We purchase the Eggland's brand on a regular basis, but have never tried this variety. So referring to the free range. The quality and consistency is tremendous for baking. We bake everything from yeast breads to cornmeal rolls to brownies, pastries, gingerbread. These are a must for an avid baker. They're getting longer, but I thought these were really good reviews. So I wanted to get on here and say how much I love the packaging of your eggs. I was headed home after purchasing groceries and I had the bag in the back of my truck and the eggs were on top. I made a turn a little too sharp and I heard the bag fall over and all I could think about was how they had, the package of eggs and they're probably scrambled now. When they got home, they checked on the eggs. Not a single one was broken. So I thought that was a good call out to the packaging. This is a long one too, but also really good. Honestly, I bought these mostly out of curiosity. I wanted to see if the hype was actually backed by anything. I went in expecting them to taste like any other egg, just with a fancy logo stamped on the shell. I couldn't have been more wrong. The flavor's absolutely superb. I didn't think it was possible for non-pastured eggs, so these would be either, the conventional ones that they have, to taste this distinct from just an enhanced egg or from the enhanced feed, but the quality blows generic out of the water. They honestly remind me of high-end pastured eggs. The shells are noticeably harder, again, from that feed. The yolks are deep and rich, and the whites are nice and thick. I'm officially a believer now. When a product says it's packed with the good stuff, it's not just marketing. You can actually taste the difference, and they've become a permanent staple in their kitchen. So I thought that was a really good one that kind of calls out, they were a skeptic, but they became a believer in Eggland's Best. All right, some FAQs that I pulled from their website, but of course, if you want to read all of their FAQs, the word FAQ is linked to that page. So I thought this was interesting because if you've ever purchased Eggland's Best, and I will show you, they do have their little EB, imprinted on the top. So the Eggland's Best logo helps you identify eggs that are produced according to that, standard that they've mentioned. The program incorporates guidelines, again, related to feeding, animal welfare, housing, disease prevention, quality control, lots of things that we didn't even get to cover today because they have such really high standards. The logo is applied by stamping machines, which are FDA compliant, USDA approved, using food safe ink. That is acceptable as a food additive. You're very unlikely eating the egg, the shell. You may be composting them and different things like that, but it is a food safe additive here. I thought this was interesting and something that people probably don't know about, but this was asking how egg sizes are determined. So the size, so if you're buying large, jumbo, whatever it is, the size indicates the minimum required weight for a dozen eggs. So there can be slight discrepancies between the eggs in the carton. They're going to be very, very similar, but they can vary slightly. So if you look at one and it looks a little smaller or a little bigger, that can happen. Eggland's Best follows the USDA's specified minimum net weight per dozen eggs. So the minimum weight that your package is going to be for jumbo would be 30 ounces, extra large would be 27, large would be 24, which a standard carton of eggs is typically large. Most baking recipes and things call for large eggs. There are also medium and small and so many others, but I thought that was interesting. So it's the whole carton that they're weighing and not just each individual egg's weight. How do I know if my Eggland's Best eggs are fresh? So each Eggland's Best pack bears, of course, a date on the package. Now, there are two different dates that you'll see depending. They can have a sell by and a use by date. If the sell by date is on there, they suggest using them within 30 days past the date on the package. If it's a best by or a best before or a use by date, they recommend using them within 2 weeks. So I actually did look at my package and mine does say best by. So mine says Best Buy 3/1. So I would want to use them within 2 weeks of that date. So a little bit later in March. However, I recommend trying to use them much sooner than that. But that's what they recommend for quality. And of course, this is if they've been, refrigerated the entire time, they're not cracked, anything like that. And finally, are Eggland's Best Eggs kosher? Yes, the Orthodox Union certifies Eggland's Best Eggs as kosher. Each carton will have the OU symbol clearly identifying that they are kosher. And I thought this was interesting too. So Eggland's Best has a zero tolerance policy for blood spots. I think the statistic was like 1% is allowed by the USDA. And Eggland's Best said no, they have even less. So I think that's really good if you're looking out for that. Eggland's Best is really strict about blood spots too. Okay, just some other things I saw on their social media that I'm just going to quickly go through so we can get to our recipe. But if you've ever done the float test, this is not for safety. It's mostly to see how old the eggs are, like if you took them out of their carton, which we don't recommend. We recommend storing them in the carton. But you can see kind of how old the eggs are based on the float test. So if they sink to the bottom, that means the eggs are very fresh and they have a small air cell. If they kind of stand upright, that means, they're getting a little bit older, but they are still super fresh, but the air cell has just grown a little. If they kind of are like floating, like bobbing up and down, they're still fairly fresh, but they have a slightly larger or air cell. These are apparently one of the best options to hard boil because hard boiled eggs, they peel apparently a little bit better if they are kind of in this category. Of course, you can hard boil fresh eggs as well. And then if they float to the surface, it means they are older. The air cell has grown larger. They are not necessarily automatically unsafe to consume. Eggs at any point can be unsafe to consume. However, Eggland's Best, I think I read that their chicks are vaccinated against salmonella 3 times. So the risk is very low. It can still exist. So this is just something to kind of see how old the egg is. Again, if you do the egg test or the float test and you submerge the egg in water, you need to use it immediately because, we've introduced potential bacteria and the eggs are porous, so you need to cook them immediately after you do the float test, unfortunately. I'm not going to read through these. These are just two pictures from their social media. So if you're looking for hacks and tips on how to perfectly hard boil or sunny side up an egg, this is just some recommendations that Eggland's provides. Tons of recipes on their website. And I love a good recipe database with filters. So you can do by course, how long it takes to make the recipe, calorie range, special diets, occasions, and by product. So shell eggs, of course. And if you make any of their recipes or anything using their eggs, you can actually submit your recipe and pictures to their website and they'll post them, which I think is really cool. You can see the text here and then the picture. So I don't know, I just thought that was a really cool advantage. You can follow them on social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, wherever you want to follow them. They have a YouTube channel as well. And these are all links, so you can click on any of those and it'll bring you directly to the page. All right, we are going to quickly, because I know we're almost out of time. Fortunately, I pre-cooked everything, so we're just going to assemble. We are making, when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to eat this. It is an egg and hash brown avocado stack. My last poll, real quick, is just what is your favorite way to eat eggs? Because really, you can do any type of egg on these stacks. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It calls for a poached egg. I can do many things. Poaching an egg nicely is not one of them. I've tried. So, and the poached eggs are not my favorite. So fortunately, that's okay. But let me see our poll really, really quick. And I know these categories are very inclusive of a lot of things, but I just wanted to, I'll share this really quickly. Most people according to this poll, prefer scrambled. Scrambled's amazing. You could do hard scrambled, soft scrambled too. Sunny side up is my favorite, which is what I'm gonna do today. I love a good sunny side up egg. Hard or soft boiled, depending on how soft and jammy you want that yolk to be. Over easy, medium, and hard. Of course, the yolk is gonna be very different in those three. Poached. Some people prefer poached, or other. So there's so many ways to make eggs. Okay, so this is the recipe, super simple. We're gonna take two frozen, or however many you wanna make, frozen hash brown patties. That's gonna serve as our bread. I already put them in the air fryer. We have our own brand, a giant brand of the hash brown patties, so that's what I'm using. Two Eggland's Best large eggs, a medium avocado, some lime juice, chives, and then salt, pepper, hot sauce if you want it. But we're really just gonna cook or however you want to cook the hash brown patties, however you want to cook your egg, whether it's poached, sunny side up, fried, scrambled, soft boiled, however you want to do it. And we're just gonna layer it all together. I just thought this was so cute on their Facebook page or no, this was their email for Valentine's Day. But let me turn on my other video so we can just see. There we go. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So here, this is just our container of the free range. So let me show you. I'm going to take out of my air fryer basket. I do have my little hash brown patties, which embarrassing story time. I did not know hash browns were like shredded in most cases until I was much too old to have realized. So I always thought this was what a hash brown was when I was little, and I prefer these, not shredded. So the patty, this is what's acting as our bread today. Then you're going to take an avocado and give it a little mash. So I just have some mashed avocado here. You can use already prepped guacamole if you'd prefer. This just has a little bit of lime juice, salt, pepper. We're going to put it on top. Oh, I am so excited to eat this. You have no idea. It looks real good. Then we are going to top this with an egg. So I will say, I did attempt to poach some eggs. They look okay. They're not great. They look okay. One tip I did see a bunch, and I think that did help, was actually cracking the egg into a fine mesh strainer to get a little bit of the liquidier whites out, which I will say Eggland's didn't have very much. But that kind of helps, especially as you're pouring it into the swirling water. But again, I prefer a fried egg or a over easy. So my egg, it looks so beautiful. Okay, get him. You have to look out for our social media pages because I have another recipe on there that was very delicious too. We're going to top it with just a touch of chives. Oh, beautiful. And then if you want, a little bit of hot sauce too. So I'm just going to do our brand sriracha. Just a touch. Kind of up to you. Oh, yes. But that is it. That is our avocado egg hash brown stack using our free range Eggland's Best eggs. Look how beautiful that package is, though. That really nice blue color. I did not actually take the eggs out the way I said I did in this case, but normally I do. But yeah, so looking out for, again, for that certified humane at the top of the package. But just so beautiful. That is all I have today talking about Eggland's Best. Again, my favorite egg brand, and I'm so excited to share them with you. Thank you again for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. Thanks. Take care.